This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Well, joining us today is George Roach, CEO of Premier African Minerals. Thank you very much for joining us today, George. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mark, and nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. Of course, we'll catch up on that very comprehensive RNS that came out earlier in the week. I want to focus a little bit on the share price performance. Obviously, the market is perhaps not, it's a bit uncertain, let's say, maybe on some of the things that are in there around maybe the operational risk and some concerns perhaps around the funding. But I wonder if we can perhaps just start with around what the RNS stated around the spodumene prices, and the project would be marginally profitable. And I think that's clearly made the market a little bit uncertain. How are you personally feeling about this?
Well, I think that if you read the entire RNS, it answers that question. And the RNS set out to do that. Yes, we all know that spodumene prices have come off dramatically. They were always anticipated to come off dramatically. This is cyclical to some extent. We're comfortable on the medium and, in fact, not far off into the future. And indications at the moment anyway are that it's bottoming out. So we're reasonably comfortable going forward. That doesn't particularly worry me. What I set out to do in the RNS was to explain the mitigation for this. And the mitigation for this is that everything that we're doing in our own lab indicates that our spodumene will be of a very high standard and high grade. And the way the pricing structure works on the direct sale is that your SC6 is set on a specific grade. For every 0.1% increase in the grade of spodumene, there is an additional payment per ton. And similarly, for every 0.1 below, there's a deduction. Now, that is quite significant when you start taking the grade from 6% to 7%. And Premier is indicating very clearly in his test work that's where it goes. That's the one part of it. The other part of it is that there are people chasing technical grade spodumene. We're not looking to produce this as a special extra cost or anything like that. It's been forecast from way back when our first test work was done by Anzaplan that the spodumene we produced would almost certainly be technical grade. Very low iron, good liberation, reasonable recoveries, etc., etc. And there are a lot of people chasing technical grade spodumene. People can look up the pricing, and this pricing is more than 50% above the ruling spodumene prices at the moment. So that plus the premiums all go to mitigate at the moment. Okay. So that's why it was set out like that in the RNS, to explain the mitigation.
Okay, so with that mitigation then, you wouldn't be having any concerns about perhaps having contingency plans with Canmax if the spodumene price continues to fall, because are we talking here potentially SC7 or even higher value than that with technical grade?
Yes, that's what our laboratory is producing consistently.
Okay.
So we're reasonably comfortable that we're going to be producing a very good and high value product.
Okay. In terms of the shipping cost, who covers the shipping cost for the product, George?
Terms have always been CIF China Port.
Right.
All that I've done is I've said that our initial production cost is high. $800 a ton mine gate is fairly high. But that in itself reduces as one goes over 6% contained spodumene, which is where we're likely to be. So that'll come down based on that anyway. But it was simply a case of saying that's the mine gate, there's the shipping. Those are the two components that make it up.
Okay. So it's not a cost that Prem takes?
Well, it's part of our selling. When we sell on a CIF China basis. So we're paid whatever the CIF China price is. The CIF China price at the moment, I haven't looked today, but I think is around about, the China spodumene is around about 1,000, a little bit more than 1,000.
Okay. So that's what you're paid on. Okay. I think, okay, that makes sense. I mean, I guess people are, you say you're basically break even, so you're factoring in, well, you're above break even on the current situation. So including any shipping costs, the project is commercially viable. Yeah. Okay.
And then that's before allowing for any premium that comes because of the product quality.
Sure. Okay. Excellent. Thank you for that. If we move on to talk about the funding situation then, and of course the RNS stating very clearly that you're looking at, well, it is an issue and you're looking at other options that are perhaps not through share issues. So what potential avenues are you looking at here, dilutive or non-dilutive?
Debt of some kind.
Okay.
Intermediate loan, bank lending, bank funding, bank overdraft.
Okay.
There are a number of options that are available to us.
Almost like a bridging loan.
Yeah, yes, with a project this far advanced, I mean, the mine's complete. There's so much that's been done. The value of what's been spent is way over our market cap at the moment. And if you think of the underlying value that we all agreed a couple of months ago for the project, which is 200 million US for purposes of if we never met the terms of the offtake agreement, then whatever the value of the prepayment was would convert into equity in Zulu, based on a valuation of $200 million. I mean, nothing's changed there. That's exactly where it is. It always has been.
It has been. It's stated there, isn't it? It's that value there. I mean, really, that should underpin the share price in theory. I don't know if you can. Yeah, okay. I mean, because it's there, it's written out in that agreement. Potential funding routes could be your own money, potentially. Would you consider that as an option?
I've already got a couple of extra million in there. But no, I'm quite determined that this thing's going into production. Come hell or high water, one way or another, it's going to go. And that's the message there. We're weeks away. We're like probably 4 or 5 weeks, maybe less.
Okay.
Away from wanting to have this thing running and having material going through the plant.
Brilliant. Okay.
That's how close it is.
Okay. Excellent. I'll talk about the site in a moment. I just want to finish on some of the funding issues. In terms of the contractors, would they be happy to delay payments until you're, or sort of, be flexible until you get to that point where you're cash flow generative?
You know what? I'm extracting as good a terms as I can from all our contractors. Our contractors have generally worked with us all the way through from the beginning. We've had a very good run with them for a couple of years. And really all I'm saying to a lot of these guys is, hey, give me some support at the moment. Okay. So it's a case of extending terms to the best that I can.
Okay.
Everybody's at site. Everybody's working exactly as they should. No one has stopped to anything like that. And that's all I am. I'm just saying, give me some longer terms.
And is everyone pulling in the same direction on that?
At the moment, yes. That's why we're all still working.
Good. I picked up on something. I think it was maybe on one of the comment boards or something, that there are concerns regarding a placing and the calling of an EGM. I mean, we spoke about funding a moment ago. Would you like to respond to that? I guess is the question.
Well, somebody said to me that I issued a notice this morning for an EGM. I ain't seen that notice. I don't know what to say. I've discussed what we're trying to do. If at the end of the day there's no other fallback position other than to come back to shareholders, then I suspect we would. But at the moment, I'm doing what I can to avoid. So I don't really want to have to call an EGM and go through some emergency process at the moment. I don't rule it out, but it really is that's a last resort. And I definitely didn't, despite what somebody said today, I definitely didn't issue a notice of an EGM today.
No, I have not seen that notice either. That's probably just speculation. And if you say you're a matter of weeks away talking about bridging loans, then yeah, I can imagine the EGM would be the last resort that you have to go down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's catch up about operations on site then. You've said weeks away. I think you said potentially 4 to 5 weeks away. Of course, we've kind of been in a situation before, and you get close to the deadline, and I think there's perhaps some concerns that we're getting down to the wire with some weeks to go and get everything running correctly and on time. I don't want to talk about missing the deadline because clearly that's not what you're thinking. But if you do miss the deadline with everything that's been done, what's next? Because no one wants to sort of continue in this loop. Do you have any factored plans for any non-delivery in Q1 and any discussions regards that with CanMax?
No. I'm having no specific discussions about missing any deadlines.
Okay.
The only discussions I'm having with everybody involved in this thing is making sure that we make those deadlines, that the things get done, the mill turns, and this works.
And on the mill, where is it right now? And when will it be on site?
There we go. I wrote down the address. It's at number 22 Van Dyke Road in Benoni in South Africa. And I can even give the postal code if people want to go and look it up. The mill itself is complete, as I understand it. It's under final assembly, which is having motors and gearboxes attached. And on Friday next week, I expect to stand in that workshop and see the mill run and see the heavy-duty truck that is expected to take it to site standing next to it so that it can be loaded and get going.
Right.
So that's the plan at the moment. I have to be very careful. That's next week. It's a future event. But at the moment, there's nothing I know of that says that's not going to happen.
Okay. And then how long will it take to arrive?
It's a transit time. It's a very heavy item. I think the mill itself weighs, well, it's 55 plus tons. And that's a big piece of kit. It's well over the sort of normal road allowances. It can only travel in daylight hours, et cetera, et cetera. So we've allowed a transit time of between 6 and 8 days. It may be quicker. The 250-ton crane that'll position it is on standby. The plinths are all ready for it. The bolts are standing out, waiting for it to be lowered onto them. That's kind of where it is.
So if we're saying approximately 2 weeks to get it on site, and then in your 5-week window, so you've sort of got 3 weeks left then to spin it up and get it going. Realistic?
Oh, very much so. If the mill was going to be the first item, there it would be a different story, but it isn't. It's one of the last items.
Okay.
I mean, the thickener, for example, is well. That was originally only scheduled for completion middle of February. Okay. By the look of it, that's ahead of schedule.
Okay.
Most of the other stuff is there. It's additional screens and so on. I was at site yesterday, and the main discharge screen from the mill is on site. Its framework is assembled and it's about to be put in position. So there's,
Okay.
I'm not too concerned.
Okay. And then, of course, the sorters as well are another element that was causing trouble and being fixed. If there's any further delay to these sorters, can Prem perhaps hand sort for a few weeks?
You know what? Surrounding our EPO, there's been a huge amount of artisanal mining outside of our EPO area, for example, that has been ongoing. With the fall off in prices as they've happened, there are huge stockpiles of material, of ore, that was originally being sold and shipped direct to China. Mm-hmm. That can't be because of the prices. That's all there. I mean, we've got people talking to us every day, wanting us to take that material. Now, that material that was going to China, in fact, was hand cobbed. It was dug out the ground and then hand cobbed. So is there access to lots and lots of good quality ore at the moment? Absolutely. Okay. Going back to the sorters, I know that our OEM supplier is committed to getting those working and working properly. There are technicians, as I said, in the RNS due from Germany and elsewhere, and I think they're at site from Monday.
Right.
So there's a
Okay.
huge effort going into it and a very serious commitment coming from everybody.
Okay. Okay. So you have all ready to go effectively. That's already been hand sorted. So hopefully there's no delays on that. But if so, you've got all ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
There are some photographs I think on Twitter or somewhere of operations in the pit, and the ore body, the main pegmatite, is distinct. It can be seen very clearly, and to access that and access huge quantities of ore straight out of that is very, very easy.
Okay. Okay.
So we really are advanced in terms of where we were.
Okay. I had two questions regarding this from shareholders. People would like to know who's doing the work on the sorters. Who is the OEM?
Well, the OEM is the original equipment supplier.
Okay.
And the two principal, the two XRT sorters are originally Tomra sorters. They're Tomra machines. The ancillaries and so on and so forth was put together by our original equipment supplier.
Okay.
The technicians that are coming out, there is a technician from Tomra in Germany that is coming out.
Okay, for a Tomra technician. Okay. And when it comes to the sorters, you said upgrade. I think the question was, are you upgrading the UV sorters to include color-based detection, or is color being added to the UV, or are you replacing the UV? So some clarity on whether color's being added, or it's a new machine.
It's the same. It's the same machine. The same frames, the same everything, but there is an additional set of receivers. I believe this is what I understand from the OEM. There's an additional set of receivers coming in that detects color.
Okay.
So not only is there the ability to look and upgrade the spodumene that is contained within the ore, but also to detect color where a dark country rock particle may have been missed in the XRT.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that makes sense. Something else was picked up was the mention of dense medium separation in the RNS. Perhaps it's causing some concerns. Does Zulu need DMS sorters?
No. I mean, to be frank, really, I think we just need to go back and reread the RNS properly. The RNS sets out to say that in the ore body that we have at Zulu, right, which is spodumene quartz infused dominant, that DMS is not indicated in that kind of deposit. If we had a lot of petalite contained in the deposit, then it would be necessary to separate the spodumene from the petalite, and DMS does that job. But we don't have it. That's the one. The other thing is that the spodumene's fine-grained, and fine-grained is not necessarily indicated in DMS.
Okay.
So for a couple of reasons, the answer is no, we don't.
The answer is no. Yeah, you don't need DMS. Okay, that's clear. That puts that one to bed. In terms of the sorters, then, presumably you intend that the sorting functionality is going to be fully up and running when you want to spin the plant up. If not, though, could you say you've got enough ore, but could you, for a period of time, continue to hand sort?
I could do it on a permanent basis.
Okay.
It's really, really simple to put in a conveyor belt and find a dozen people to stand on each side of the conveyor belt, and every time you see a bit of black rock, throw it off. That's how simple this thing is. Sure. And you can do a couple hundred tons an hour easily that way.
Okay. Great. Right. Well, another question, and this is around, again, it's the approaching deadline. Someone's noticed a difference in wording from the RNS. 7th of December versus the latest two releases. Why has the wording changed for production dates? Originally in the December the 7th one, the word by February was used, and in the last two RNSs, the word late February is used.
They are used quite deliberately and carefully to try and update any shifting in the timeline that may be occurring. Okay. They are indicative of what we believe the situation, with reasonable investigation from our side, to actually be. That's all it is.
Right. Okay. So that would put you in that 4 to 5 week timeline, getting to the end of February. You like to keep shareholders excited, George, don't you?
Well, the answer to that one is yes. I think it's a very exciting time. I think it's been a long haul for Prem. I know I've said all this before, but it has been a long haul. It's been a very difficult one. But what we've learned, and we continue to learn all the time, more and more and more about these pegmatite ore bodies and about this specific aspect of the industry. And all of this stands us in good stead as we go forward.
Okay.
So I think it is an exciting time.
Exciting and stressful potentially, but we'll we'll see in the next few weeks, all being well. Can I talk a little bit about the rust? Because of course that was mentioned in this RNS as well, which is great to see, because I know this is something that we've talked about before. It's been a little bit tricky to get information on it, but your plan is to actually get a rust out, isn't it? So the first question is, how advanced are you on that on the technical side of that?
Well, I think one of the things we need to get rid of is this RUS. And I think we should start calling it an NRS. And the NRS is New Resource Statement.
Fine.
Okay, because we're not updating the old resource statement. We are issuing a new resource statement that relates to the area that we are mining at the moment. Now, it's not a case of being able to take the old one and do an update. That isn't what this is about. So this will be a new resource statement that is concerned with the areas that we are mining right now. Okay.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So how advanced are you in the technical elements of that?
Very. The issues that have one of the issues that significantly delayed this is trying to just make sure that everybody understands that we are trying to mine a mineral. The mineral is called spodumene. We are not trying to mine an element called lithium. The lithium occurs within spodumene. It also occurs in petalite, in lepidolite, and in various other minerals. The one we want is spodumene. Now, it's no good having a huge pegmatite with a grade of 2 or 3% lithium oxide, and everything sits in petalite when we want spodumene, for example. So we have been massively focused on how much of our ore body is spodumene. And we're able to determine with reasonable certainty today that as we go right into this thing, it's going to be 90% plus. We're saying 85% plus at the moment, but it's going to be higher. That's what's spodumene. So we think that in terms of a lot of these ore bodies that are squee, the spodumene quartz infused type of ore body, and a lot of the Zimbabwean ones are like this, that ours is spodumene dominant.
Okay, yeah.
And that's hugely valuable.
So do you see that the fact you're going down the spodumene declaration route, that would help to mitigate some of the problems you've had before, getting it out, getting it cleared by various nomads or technical advisors?
Well, yes, it's been a case of getting people to get their head around the fact that declaring a resource grade, just saying there's an Li20 grade and so many tons, gives you no real basis for determining the value of a deposit. You need to know how much spodumene's there and can you recover it.
Sure.
And that really is the essence of a resource statement anyway.
Indeed, yeah. So we can wait with bated breath for the NRS then.
Yes, I think that's a much better way of describing the thing. Thank you.
Okay. Any idea when, George, or as and when?
No, I think it's weeks away. I think it's only a couple of weeks.
All right. Okay.
I'm pushing the people very, very hard.
Okay, and on the pit then, just a final question on operations. How far has the pit progressed? I know you were spending quite a lot of, I think it was 50,000 US. Was it a day?
It's almost. It depends on how many bench cubic meters, BCMs, are mined on a daily basis. But I see in some of the latest figures that there's up to 6,500, 7,000 BCM a day that's moving.
Okay.
So it's a lot of money that's being spent there at the moment. But that all stands us in very, very good stead as we go into the future.
Okay.
The stripping ratio will drop dramatically once all this development and all this removal of waste is done. And the quality of the ore will be much better.
And are you seeing that then? Are you seeing you're getting through this weathered, the weathered section into the good unweathered stuff, and you've got enough clean stuff in a few weeks' time?
Absolutely. In fact, some of the photographs that I think are out on Twitter clearly indicate where that ore body is and just how clean the cutoff is between the pegmatite and the surrounding country rock.
Okay. Just a final question on Mutare. I don't know if you can comment on any update that's going on there, perhaps with the joint venture. Anyone willing to provide any funding or technical mining expertise on that area?
I'll provide that in an RNS.
Sure.
And that will be soon.
Okay. Well, thank you, George. So, looking forward to the next few weeks, and as I guess you are.
Yes, indeed. I really am. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure it won't be too long before we're speaking again.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Look forward to it. Thanks.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.